House passes a bill to restore collective bargaining for federal employees. Yes, this happened on December 11th, so just 2 days ago. A bill to restore collective bargaining rights for a majority of federal employees cleared the House in a floor vote Thursday afternoon. House lawmakers voted 231 to 195 to pass the Protect America's Workforce Act. Here's what's important: the entire Democratic caucus, along with 20 Republicans, voted in favor of the legislation. Now, that is wonderful. And indeed, actually, I have seen the federal workers getting their money back, getting their lost money, their lost wages, their lost benefits back. However, I want to tell you something important, which is also around the same time, 20 plus Democrats did not vote to impeach this rotten, illegal imposter squatter in our White House. 20 plus Democrats did not vote to do that. And at the time, I said, what's wrong with okay, so just let me tell you, Vindman was one of them. Eugene Vindman, who is part of the whole reason he ran for Congress was to get rid of this guy. Jeffries, among, 20 plus other Democrats. Of course, not AOC. Of course, not Jasmine Crockett. However, I want to tell you something that's important, because at the time, I didn't feel like they were traitors. I felt like there was some strategy, but I have to say the Democratic Party, their party line, the reason I should read it because it's absolutely, it's trash. They talk about the sacred vehicle of impeachment and how the hard work has to be done, and you have to research, and it's like a court case, and you have to bring all these facts and evidence. This is their actual statement as to why they did not vote to impeach. Now, you and I both know, or maybe you don't know, that those 20 plus votes weren't going to impeach this guy. So maybe this is what I'm getting this morning, right? The thing is that they thought, well, it's not going to move the needle. It's not going to matter. So why don't we take instead of embarrassing the president and having the entire Democratic caucus, the entire Democratic Party vote to impeach, why don't we take a subset of us, whoever's willing to get on this bandwagon, why don't we go to the Republicans and say, hey, we won't do this if you'll give us something. Why don't we negotiate with these terrorists? Well, here's the problem. This is the problem that happened when we predicted that they would capitulate on having closed the government. They held, and then they capitulated. This is exactly what the energy said they would do. And then they ended up losing the healthcare extensions anyway. They tried to negotiate with terrorists and they lost. So in this case, they quote unquote won, right? Because they got this thing. Of course, it's not out of Congress. It's just one vote in one situation. So yeah, they can go to their constituents and say, hey, we're negotiating. We're, this is, most of America does not know what is happening. Okay, let's remember that. They can go back to their constituents and say, see, we did it. We're big people. We sit down with Republicans and we're not, this is stuff you're going to hear. That's why I'm forewarned is forearmed. We're not obstructionist. This is the word you're going to hear now. We're not obstructionist. We're sitting down with Republicans to get things done for the American people. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you is that you're arranging deck chairs on a Titanic. You didn't really do anything. This is not out of the Senate. This is not law. You negotiated with terrorists. They're going to pull the football out from under your feet, Charlie Brown, for the 7,000th millionth time. Okay, so what you did was you sold us. You bartered us to the Republicans. That's what you did. Instead of saying the entire Democratic Party sees what's happening here, the entire Democratic Party sees that we are under attack, that our citizens are under attack, and we want to impeach this president. And we're going to continue to show that we believe that this man should be impeached every single time we get a chance. We're not going to negotiate with you because you do not negotiate in good faith. We're not going to do it. We're going to stand together to show the American people, to show the world that we are different, that we're not doing business with terrorists. You know, the guides are showing me right now, Ukraine trying to negotiate with Russia. How many times were there there were whatever that thing is called when you stop war. See, I'm channeling. Sorry, everybody. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic medium, and I channel this information, sometimes not so well. 60% spirit guides, 40% Susan. And sometimes I get tongue-tied between me and them, but a truce treaty. So all those two words were getting literally wrapped up together. How many times did Russia say, we're going to pause? We're not going to do anything. The minute they say that, this has been proven every time. The minute they say, we're going to pause, they bomb. This is Republicans. They are not negotiating in good faith. Okay. So why are we negotiating in good faith? Instead, Democrats should basically get together. I mean, and say either if you're not with us, then you're against us. You know, and I know that's divisive. I get it. I get that the Democrats are still trying to pretend like we can put this all back together, that Humpty Dumpty can be glued all back together and put back on the damn wall. But it's not possible. We're never going to go back together the way we were. You know, it's another thing the spirit guides were saying this morning is it's like when you're in that relationship and you just think, well, if I just go out and do extra, they'll see how important I am. They'll see that I really love them. And what do? You just keep trying. You just keep trying. And it never works because they don't love you, because they're not in love with you, because they're not even nice people. Sometimes they're monsters. But you're trying to make nice with the monster so they'll love you. This is the Democrats. We have to finally say, look, if you're negotiating with them, I'm just going to assume you're on their payroll. I mean, I'm not kidding. We're getting to a place in this whole quagmire, in this whole war, this whole timeline, that we can no longer overlook things. You can't overlook what is happening. Now, you can be ignorant. You can be a person who watches CNN, who watches sports, who watches reality TV, who maybe is so into working out or your hobby that you just don't even watch news. Or maybe when you're at the gym, you watch the news and you just think, this is stupid, right? Like, I'm not going to participate because these are a bunch of babies in Congress that can't get along. And if I were there, I would do it differently. None of that is true, right? Because what's happening is we are under siege, literally under siege, and using the same framework, this is what they're saying. Okay. I am channeling, using the same framework. Let's call them laws. Let's call them the Constitution that has been poisoned. It's been it's no longer it's not worth the paper it's written on. It's what the guides just said. That is a strong statement, right? That is a strong statement. But this is where we are. So I guess what I'm saying is that we need to do things differently. And you know, if you're one of your Democrats was on this list, and all you have to do is Google Democrats who did not vote to impeach. By the way, Al Green from Houston brought this to the table. You know, he took a lot of heat. He did a lot of heavy lifting to get this to the table. So he's a hero. That's a guy who really stands on the principles of the Constitution. Even if the Constitution is not worth the paper it's written on right now, the principles are. We're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but we're going to take those principles and we're going to plug them into Constitution, 5.0. because this Constitution is 0001 and we need to upgrade it. Okay. So I just thought I would start out with that because I think that that is super important. The other thing the guides want me to say, because this is going to be in the future. Okay. But this is important right now because I feel like, well, knowledge is power is what they're saying. Okay. So this is why I do these videos. This is not easy to be in this energy and to do these videos. It's actually really difficult to do this, but here we are. We're all in it together. It's difficult for all of us, truly. So here's another thing. And I'm a practical, grounded person. So I'm always trying to help you with practical, grounded information, right? I'm not, never mind. Anyway, here's the thing. There's going to be a change in the labor force. Now, all kinds of pressures are on the labor force. We have pressures of ICE. We have pressures of just things that are happening. I don't understand all the things that can happen or will happen. The message is that women will be doing male dominated jobs. And the reason, and two things. The reason that came to me is because I was out walking my dog. This is how guidance comes to you. It comes in all ways at all times. Okay. I was out walking my dog. I saw the garbage truck go by, and it was one of those automated garbage trucks that just has the arms that picks up the can and dumps it in, right? For whatever reason, this is when you insert spirit guides. When you say, for whatever reason, I had the idea, insert spirit guides, insert guidance. That's how it comes. For whatever reason, I looked at the garbage truck. I couldn't see inside the door, the window. And I thought, I wonder if a woman is driving that truck. Out of the blue, this comes to me. And I'm like, why would I think that? Why would I care? Right? You're questioning something that came to you also under you. That means this was not your thought. You had no reason to think it. I had no reason. I didn't care whether there was a woman, well, whoever's driving the truck, I didn't care. But that's when I realized, because I do this work, that, oh, they're trying to tell me that women are going to be doing these jobs. Now, the other thing I want to say, number two, is that they likened it to, I can dive into this, but they likened it to, was it World War II when women, maybe even World War I, but probably World War II, where women, Rosie the Riveter, right? When women went into the factories and took jobs that men weren't doing because men were on the front lines, right? So there's this sense of women stepping into jobs for all kind of reasons. But also another reason is, and I'm not trying to diss any men, I'm just telling you like it is from a woman's perspective. You know, men don't understand women, women don't understand men. We're never going to understand each other because I'm not in your body, you're not in my body, you don't have my experiences, vice versa. But from my experience, women are badass. You know, we put up with menstruating and pain. You know, you see any of those videos where they hook up those electrodes to guys and they let them experience what women experience in cramps and menstrual cramps, and they do a level 1 through 5, and you know, by 3 the guy's on the floor. You know, but we grow up with it. It happens to us when we're barely, you know, a kid, so we're used to it. My point is that women are going to take over these jobs for a lot of reasons, because women are actually used to dealing with pain and suffering. You know what I mean? Women raise kids. They're multitaskers. They're just different. They're just different. They're going to bring to the workforce a different set of skills. And that's going to be one important part of it. Another part is that particular subset of workers is going to be not in, they're not accessible, the guides are saying. I think that has to do with, mostly, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm making this what I want it to be, but at least one part of it is that they are people that are not, that are Hispanic, or not that they're not Americans, but they're maybe first generation Americans. They have reason to hide or to flee, move, or they've been harassed, or they've been fired. I mean, look, there's a lot. The guides are using the word EEOC, right? Whatever that is, employment, blah, 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 whatever the acronym is, but it basically means you can't fire people for things like race. But these cities and counties will do this because they feel that they have to, and they feel that they have cover from the DOJ. Okay, now I'm here to tell you that all of this is going to get, not all of it, a lot of this is going to get fixed, right? So I see the government employees getting their money back. I've said it from the very beginning, you're going to lose your jobs. You're going to be without a job. You're going to get your job back. This has all happened, right? People got laid off, then they got their job back. And I've also said you're going to get your money back eventually. That feels really good, solid to me. Now, as far as the immigration goes, and not only immigration, but just the United States having a more varied race mixture, that's going to be kind of that. I don't see a good ending for that. I don't see a amicable, happy ending for that. I think there's going to be pockets, there's going to be states, there's going to be pockets within states that really, really go white. We need to be aware of that. The same way the Democrats are saying, oh, if we just be nice to these monsters, they'll be nice to us. If you live in a red city, a red town that you know is racist AF, look, I'm just telling you right now. I'm telling you, get out. I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear any of that. I don't want to hear it because guess what? Push comes to shove, you're going to get fired and you're going to run out. Is that terrible? Yes, it's terrible. I'm channeling. I'm doing this to help you. So, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm trying to say, in your gut, you do, you've known this. So this is how you go from, oh, I'm seeing a woman driving this, dump truck, that I'm seeing a woman doing this thing, not necessarily woman oriented jobs. These are the reasons, right? These are the reasons why there's not enough men to do those jobs. What could be another reason? Another reason could be we were at war, right? That again, back to World War II. I don't think we're going to go to that kind of war. I don't see us going to a world war. Can I see us going to the guides just called it a Vietnam? Yes, I can see that, where Congress doesn't necessarily call it a war, but yet here we are doing the thing. My dad fought in North Korea. What was it called? A police action or something? I mean, come on. All the wars that we've had since World War II have not been sanctioned wars. It's been the United States being a bully. So we have a bully now in the White House, and we have a DOJ that's been captured. We have a Congress that's been captured. So yeah, I really can see. I mean, I'm going to tell you that it's not going to work for them, but I could see that they move troops into a zone, a hot zone. Now, what I've always said too is one thing that unites, well, besides lunacy, that is actually very true. One thing that unites MAGAs is they don't want war. They do not want war. They're all in alignment because remember, the orange dude said, I'll never go to war. We're going to keep all our money in the United States. None of this is happening, right? Like everything, but one of the triggers besides money, the economy, one of the triggers is war. If he were to call up a draft and send our young people to South America, to Venezuela, wherever he thinks he wants to send them, it would be game over for him very quickly. They are not. So how do I describe that? They said they're cooked. These people are cooked, right? Like they're in a cult. but that's one area that you cannot convert them. It's like if you hypnotize somebody and you tell them to jump off a roof, they're not going to do it. There are parts of our brain that continue working. Maybe it's a survival instinct, I don't know, but that's not an area where they can convince these people to go along with them. Now, what's been happening is they are trying to get to a place where they don't have to worry about convincing people. They're trying to get to a place they don't have to worry about the VOTE. They're trying to get to a place where they can control us without us having a say. But if you've watched my videos, you'll know that we're a republic, that we're a loosely connected group of states that have a lot of power. The citizens have a lot of power, and we're like cats. So I don't see that happening. But can he enact a draft? Yes. Could he make people sign up for it? Yes. That is on the table, you guys. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying the energy is on the table. If Democrats continue to try to negotiate with terrorists, we're going to negotiate all the way to hell, because that's where they go. There is no, we'll negotiate up, because Democrats are not good negotiators. They never have been. And it remains to be seen which ones of them are on the payroll and which ones aren't. Which ones are just trying to save America in the only way they know how. Maybe Eugene Vindman is like, look, I did the pros and cons, and it's worth saving federal workers because this impeachment isn't going to work anyway. Why would I stand on impeachment when I could save federal workers? But you see, this is a law of diminishing returns. You're getting crumbs for nothing, because in the end, they're not going to save federal workers. Not this administration, not in the way you think. So you're still thinking that you're dealing with people who've got sanity, people who have some kind of beating heart in their body, and they don't. Okay. So that's when you go into the energy of why would women be taking men's jobs? There's two scenarios right there. One is the people who would typically do this job are hiding, or left the country, have left your state, left your community. Maybe they only just left that little town, and you're like, hey, I can get a job now. So from a practical standpoint, if you're a woman and you're unemployed, you might start applying for these jobs, because I'm pretty sure you're going to not, maybe 8 times out of 10, you're going to get it. They will hire you for these jobs. Why not start applying for them? All the male dominated jobs, surveyor, garbage truck operator, construction, whatever. I don't care what it is. Get busy, because there is an opening here for you to move into these higher paying jobs. They really are higher paying, right? And then I would just say, if you are a person who has, and I just lived in Houston and that area for 30 years. I love my Hispanic, Latino, Black, Somali. I mean, Houston is a melting pot. I don't want to live in the United States if it's not a melting pot. For the love of God, can you imagine anything worse than living in a town full of white people? Can you imagine anything worse? Because I can't. I don't want to live in that, right? But I have to just warn you, this is a survival situation. Okay, it's really and truly, we have to protect them. White people have to protect them, stand up for them, advocate for them, and I mean protect, truly protect. And then secondly, if you live in a town and there's an opening, go get that opening. At least you can make money, and hopefully the person that left that job went somewhere safe. Okay, you're not taking anybody's jobs from them. The opening is open. We can only hope that that person found safety. Please find safety. Now, if you're African American, if you're Black, you're not, you already know more than I do how bad it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not telling you anything new, but I would say that the pressure is on you, that they will find ways to sandbag you even more, right? Like right now, there's a record number of Black women that have been fired, have been laid off. maybe you didn't know that. There is a record number. They have gone after Black women. And I'm just going to tell you right now, Black women run the country. I'm going to tell you right now, they do it. If you don't believe me, then you're going to find out the hard way. They run the country. We cannot operate without them the same way we cannot operate without our immigrants. They're about to FAFO, they're about to FAFO. But in the meantime, I'm practical. I'm trying to tell you how to be safe. I'm trying to tell you how to go get jobs. And if you are a woman, an African American woman, I would suggest that you know what, you all are such survivors. I think you're the original survivor, truly the original survivor of this citizenry of this country from the very beginning. So I feel like you're going to be fine. I feel like as a cohort, you're going to come out of this stronger. And I think that Black people in general are going to come out of this stronger. You're going to come out of this with a better sense of community. The community is going to be tighter. The community is going to be more insular, and I think you're going to come out of this. But it's hell, and it proves once again what you already know about people like me. And I'm sorry, Native Americans, hide out, hide out, hide out. I would pass or hide out. I'm sorry to have to say this, but this is where we are. Okay. It's they have a lot to I'm seeing a powwow. They have a lot to prove, meaning this dictatorship has a lot to prove. They're going to pick on communities. I've already talked about this in my last video, right? They're going to pick on communities that are not armed, right? So, or, they're going to work with the tribal police in a sense that the Democrats did too. Oh, tribal police, you want an extra 5 cars? You want an extra, $1 million from the government? Who doesn't? Well, okay, give us the names of these people. Let us go on your land. It's already happening. I know I saw a news source for this. I know it's already happening. You guys, you can't negotiate with terrorists. This is what's happening. The Democrats, these police officers, be they tribal police, be they metropolitan police, be they sheriffs, they just think if I make a deal with this devil, we're going to make it out okay. It's not the way it works. Okay, I'm going to move on to some more of your questions. Chili Dog has a question about an update on Ukraine. And throughout this situation, Ukraine has been holding its own, the guides are saying. I'm not saying that they're having huge successes, but despite the fact that they're not getting help from the United States, that they're holding their own. And the guides have always said this is a proxy war. Europe and the United States is looking at Ukraine like, well, let's just give them money, because if they can keep Russia busy and then Russia won't attack the rest of us. Let Ukraine fight them, right? And I think we're all learning that there are bad actors that are helping Russia, and these bad actors would like to, and my country is now one of them. 45 has suggested that we create a new cabal of countries in which the United States is in league with China and Russia and these other countries, and not in NATO. I'm telling you, right? So what is going to happen is what I think I've already talked about this, but Europe is going to come together. Countries that have aligned values will come together, and they will stand with each other, and they will start supporting Ukraine in new and surprising ways, the guides are saying. So new and surprising ways, whether that's freeing money that's been locked up, or giving them different arms, or more intel. We are now at a crucial kind of a point of no return, the guides are saying, in the sense that if something isn't done in the next 6 months, they're saying irreparable harm will have happened. I feel like irreparable harm has already happened, but I'm wondering what they mean by that. They just mean they're saying lines in the sand. Okay, so they're saying it will take even longer to get back to some sense of normalcy, right? So if we, and I say we, I'm saying Europe and the United States and the allies, the whole, everybody who's not evil, and the United States is a gray area right now. If we take action now, then we can recover faster. That's basically what they're saying. If we don't take action for 6 months, then the recovery is going to take much, much longer. And it's going to be harder. And they're saying unnecessarily so. Okay. So what does that mean? How do you take action? Well, we go back to um, really, I'm not trying to like dig on anybody, but the truth of the matter is that Biden said they're getting ready to go back and look at the news. Biden said they're getting ready to attack Ukraine. He said it to the world. He said they're amassing blood, meaning donated blood at the border. They're getting ready to attack. He told everybody. And we all were like, "Oh, it's fine. They would never do that." This is how we got here. Underestimating the crazy MFers. Okay? So why does that matter right now? Because we have to really admit where we are, like the Democrats. Just admit it. Stop negotiating. It doesn't matter at this point. What really matters is we need to save the country. Okay? Well, this is Europe as well. They need to admit it. Either you stand up, and I mean, maybe it's Article 5, maybe it's NATO bombing somebody. I don't know. There has to be an equal and opposite reaction to what's happening, or else they'll just keep steamrolling you inch by inch by inch, because you think you're negotiating, but you're really losing every single time you negotiate. Okay, so Europe has to come together. And I think they might. I keep seeing Finland. I think they might come together. You can't allow drones to go into Ireland's airspace when Zelensky's plane is in Ireland's airspace. You see what I'm saying? You're losing the war by inches. You just think, well, we don't want to upset the apple cart. We don't want to make Russia mad and go to World War III. I don't think you're going to go to World War III. I think you're going to bomb Russia and it's going to be done. I mean, I can't believe I just said that, but that's what I just said. You have to hit back. Reason also we're in this with Ukraine is because in the beginning, we only allowed Ukraine to have certain munitions that could go so far. We would only let them defend themselves. We wouldn't let them bomb Russia. We didn't give them weapons that would have that kind of range. So they could only fight right here, right in front of them. What happened? They started losing. When you capitulate, you lose. This is where we are. You're not going to negotiate. You're not going to capitulate. You're not going to find a way out of this. At some point, you have to deck the bully. You have to KO the bully. At some point, the justice system puts this person in prison for life because they just keep doing it again and again and again. Right? This is where we are. So I think Europe is going to stand up for Ukraine in new ways. I think that, and I think we need to, and this is not me saying this. I saw Japan. I'm not sure what's happening with Japan, but I want to say that we also need to understand that some countries are trying to figure it out, just like the Democrats are trying to figure it out. Can we negotiate? Can we buy ourselves some time until this cavalry comes in to save us? Right? I think that's also the Democrats' thinking, is that if we just buy some time here, like if we just keep the toddler, mad king busy for a while, we've got this other thing cooking on the back burner, but we just need to buy some time. But that, you didn't buy any time. You didn't do anything. All you did was look like you've thrown in with the bad people. And when it comes to the world stage, this is what I'm saying is some countries might choose to negotiate with the United States or choose to negotiate with Russia. And I think sometimes that's in good faith. They really think that's the way through this. I think they're wrong, but they think this is the only option because maybe they're a small country. Maybe they don't have a military. Maybe there's not a lot they can do. This is how I saw Taiwan when I talked about Taiwan. It's like they're not going to get invaded. They're going to get intimidated and terrorized into making a deal with the devil because you're going to give the bully your lunch money or you're going to get beat up and you're going to choose pacifying the bully. Been talking about bully energy for 8 years now. And it's in your personal life. It's in your work life. The bully energy is everywhere. It's not just in the White House. It's not just in Russia. It's everywhere. We have to deal with it on all levels so that we can eradicate it on all levels. Okay. So eventually, I think I've always seen from the very beginning, you can go all the way back to my very first Ukraine video and you can see everything I said from the very beginning. We are here. We've been stuck here. I said all that whole area around that northeastern part of Ukraine was going to be contested. I said Crimea was going to be contested. I said they were going to bomb Ukraine into smithereens, but the rubble, out of the rubble, the phoenix would arise and that Ukraine would be rebuilt as just a beautiful city, a beautiful country. Kyiv will be a beautiful city. It will be a high-tech city because a lot of it will be rebuilt. We are here. We are stuck. Well, a war of attrition because nobody wants to be, inconvenienced enough to think about bombing the bully because we don't want World War III. We are in World War III. Maybe that's the truth of it. It's just a different war, right? So I don't know about timing, you guys. It depends because, look, the Democrats, how they're acting. How is NATO acting? How is the EU acting? How are countries acting to Ukraine? Their energy is not solidified. I can't read on it because they're not on the same page. They're like cats themselves. They're all coming up with different solutions. So I don't have a reading on timing, but I do think that overall, the energy on this planet is upside down. The energy on this planet is out of tolerance. This is something we've talked about before too, where you have a tolerance level. You can tolerate so much cold before you have to come inside. You can tolerate so much pain before you have to take, some sort of pain reliever. That's your tolerance. Well, our whole planet has a tolerance level of how far vibrationally we can get out of whack. And we are out of whack. And it can't stay like that. I'm going to tell you right now, it cannot stay like that because we cannot, the guides are saying we cannot host life on this planet if we continue to be so out of vibration. And we're not supposed to go down. We're not supposed to die like this. This is not the end of this planet. Can it be the end of a lot of humans? Yes, because, we're going to go first before the planet goes. So, but something has to change. Something has to give. Hopefully humans will wake up and say, we are worth drawing a line in the sand. I am worth fighting for. This population is worth fighting for. Let's go back and add, but we talking about populations earlier. Let's add disabled people. Let's add trans people, LGBTQ. They're now coming back after us, LGBTQ and the trans population. They're coming for all of us. All of us. Okay. So we have to take that seriously. We have to take that seriously. It doesn't mean you have to flee the country, because you can't. The majority of us can't. It means that you have to be, I know you're tired. I know, I get it. I'm tired. Look, ain't nobody more tired than me. I'm here doing this for you. This is my job, right? Like, this is not good. So take care of yourself, right? Take care of your mental health. Unplug. Surround yourself with people who really love you. This is going to be the test, because if you surround yourself with people who don't really love you, don't really care about you, they're going to sell you out. You're going to get fired. You're going to get whatever. You're not going to do well, because you put your trust in people who don't love you and don't care about you. This is the same energy I'm talking about. Democrats trying to convince Republicans, hey, like me, be nice. I'll be nice to you. Will you be nice to me? In your own personal life, if you're surrounded by people who truly don't care about you, then they're not going to help you when the chips are down, whatever that means. If you get laid off, if you get, penalized in some way, they're not going to help you. This is our opportunity to realize our own worth, to love ourselves, to realize we're worth it, and stop putting up with bullies. So in your personal life, if you've got a workplace that is not, look, a couple of years ago, we could get married and have a party in our workplace and people would be happy for us. Not anymore. Times have changed. And those people who gave you that gift, who smiled in your face, Black people know what I'm talking about, smiled in your face, really don't love you, really don't like you, and would do anything to get rid of you and take your job. This is where we are. Okay. So we have to take care of our mental health. Okay, we have to. If you want to get out of this, if you want to stop the pain, if you want to say, I'm tired of being tired, then take care of yourself. That's all you have to do. Limit your politics. Tap into people who make you feel better. Tap into making yourself feel better. Coping in a healthy way, right? Like the guide's been talking about this now for the last couple of videos. Cope in a healthy way. Because there is an other side to this. We don't all die. We don't all end up in a concentration camp. We don't all end up in a dictatorship. That is not what happens. That is not what happens. You want to know why? Because I have an out. If I'm going to go through that, I'm exiting the planet. I'm not taking myself out. I'm saying that's what will happen. They will retrieve their asset. The guides just said, we will retrieve our asset. I don't want to go through that. Point blank, period. Now, if the country was going to go down, I would already be fled the country. I have saved money. Okay. I have more liquid than I do in, assets. If I needed to leave the country, I really could leave the country. I don't know what country I'd go to, but I'd find one. I could find a country. My guides are keeping my butt planted here. I did leave Texas. Take that for what you will, right? I did. But it doesn't go down like that. It's not fun. It's not pretty. It's not something we want to go through, but we have to face reality and we have to start taking care of ourselves. Okay. Because this is what it is. This is reality. This is our reality. Potentially attacking Venezuela, potentially attacking anybody. You understand that he's not attacking Greenland, right? Because hello, Europe would bomb the crap out of us, right? He picks on people who won't stand up for themselves. Same energy. I just talked about it, right? So yes, we're going to go through some crap. The more pressure we put on those Democrats and say, I don't care what your strategy is. I don't care about the sacred vehicle of impeachment. This is the words they used. I don't care about it. I need you to vote for it. This is where we're going, black and white. Like, I don't care what you're thinking, because you're not representing me. We will get involved to a degree that will literally create change, because we're going to, more of us are going to wake up, because so many of us are not paying attention to what's happening. Just ask anybody, ask the checker at the grocery store. Ask anybody if they know what's going on. Ask anybody. They don't. They're watching CNN. They're watching late night. They're not even watching late night TV because late night TV actually tells you what's going on. But maybe they think it's funny. Maybe they don't think it's real. Maybe they're watching Fox News. Maybe they're so disgusted by what's happening in the country that they've completely checked out and decided, I'm not paying attention. These people are kids. When they grow up, I'll pay attention again. Well, guess what? Consequences are going to come right to their front door in the terms of losing their money, losing their health care, or having somebody in their family harassed, fired, laid off. There is no justice, right? We have to be the ones to make this happen. So take really good care of yourself, okay? It's Stacy 677 says they want to know about the Epstein files. This is what the guides have said, right? Like, it doesn't really matter if they ever show the Epstein files. Why? Because if you're on social media, and I understand if you're not, believe me, guess what? The Dems, there are Dems that are doing work. Not everybody is not doing work. There are plenty that are doing work. They have released, I don't know how many photos, probably hundreds. I don't know. Photos, pictures. There is a picture of Epstein sitting across from Steve Bannon. They're on Epstein's desk. They're at Epstein's desk. And there are things on the desk that are really disturbing, including a framed 8x10 photograph that looks like it's like the carpet's the same color as the couch, so it's kind of hard to see exactly what's happening. But there appears to be a figure that might be wrapped up in a blanket or wrapped up in something, and it looks like it could be a kid. It doesn't look like a large person, and there's a black box over what could be the face. So all you see is this beige carpet, beige couch, and this beige thing. Looks like a burrito, like a cigar wrapped up. And we don't even know if that's a framed photo or if that's a live video feed. We don't know. But who keeps a framed photo of that on their desk facing the camera with Bannon? Okay, so these photos are coming out. It's all coming out. It's all coming out. Whether or not the actual files come out, the emails are out there, the photos are out there, it's all coming out. And I think that's going to be one of the big levers that does push us into some sort of action. We have the economy, we have healthcare, we have, economy meaning jobs, the whole thing, healthcare, housing. We have potential, some kind of fracas, the guides are calling it, or quick attack or escalation, or even potentially some sort of Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan thing that can happen in some poor country like Iraq, Afghanistan, people that cannot fight back, they did fight back, but I mean, seemingly looks like an easy target, right? Seemingly it looks like an easy target, but it's not. So those things are all pressure points that are going to cause action. It's going to have a reaction. This is where people wake up. This is where change happens. Another one is the Epstein files, in the sense that celebrities, sports figures, politicians, CEOs, whoever, but mostly what people care about that aren't awake are celebrities and sports figures. Those people who are not awake, that's what they're into. That's where they get their entertainment. That might even be where they get their news, right? Those people are going to be, just as they say now on social media all the time, their flabbers are going to be gasted. They're going to be shocked. They're just going to be shocked. Somebody I looked up to, somebody like Noam Chomsky, I think, is another one who's in these pictures, right? We've already talked about that guy, I can't think of his name, but the spiritual guy who's very, very famous. He's in the emails. Is it incriminating? No. Is it pictures or emails that would incriminate you in a court of law? Maybe not. Maybe not. But it's guilty by association, and it's getting worse. The guilt by association is getting worse because nobody likes Epstein. So now if you're with Epstein, you're marred. It's a mark that you might not be able to get off of you. So that's another lever. So these are the levers that can create change, right? Money, economy, healthcare or lack thereof, going to war or some kind of move towards that, so crossing a line in that direction, and then finding out that your person that you loved more than anything is actually not the person you thought. Maybe they're, whatever, in whatever way. It could be racist, it could be that they're in the Epstein files, eh, you know, the woman, why do I even want to say this? Anyway, the celebrities, you guys, celebrities are being doxed, meaning ID'd, meaning publicized who they are and what they stand for. And people don't like that and they don't stand for that. And you're going to see careers ruined. So these are the levers that are going to cause change. Last question is property taxes and taxes in general. And this is from, I'm sorry, I didn't write down your name. But you had a question about property taxes in Florida because Florida's real estate is really going through something right now. I mean, it's untenable. You can't get insurance. Insurance agencies are fleeing. We already see this in lots of parts of the United States where insurance companies are fleeing, just leaving homeowners and even auto insurance high and dry. Like, sorry, you can't be with us anymore. We're going to safer places because an insurance is about odds. Odds are I'm going to make my money. And in Florida, odds are I'm not going to make my money. Why would I invest in Florida when odds are I'm going to have to repair your house 5 times in 10 years, right? I don't want that. So now we're looking at property taxes. So in states that don't have, like Texas, that don't have a state income tax, there's only like 3 states, I don't know, that don't have state income taxes. And those states get their money through sales tax, which in Texas is like 8.25%. So you might be in a state where sales tax is 0 or sales tax is 3% or 5%. Well, in Texas, it's 8.25% to make up for not having state income tax. The other way they make up for that tax is through property taxes. Property taxes in Texas are very high. So yeah, maybe you can get a house, a nice house for 200,000 or 250,000 all day long. But your property taxes and your insurance are going to be insane. I actually had a house, a little cottage that I bought, 1930s cottage that was completely needed a complete rehaul. I bought it cheap. My mortgage was like $600, but my insurance and property taxes per month was like another $1,000. So my mortgage was nothing. My property taxes and insurance was double and more of my actual mortgage. Okay. And people don't know about that in Texas. They don't think about it like that because that's the way it is. You're used to it, right? So the question is, what's going to happen with property taxes? Is that going to change? And the poster said there's movement in Florida to change it from property taxes to some other kind of tax. And what came to me immediately from my spirit guides from that question, it's not just about Florida, it's about flat tax, right? So the robber barons or even the tech bros, these would be people that think they're movers and shakers in your state. Like they're not robber barons, but they think they are. They think they're they think they're somebody. Maybe they're making 500,000 a year. They think they are the shit. Okay, those people want a flat tax. Flat taxes benefit people that make more money. So, and it sounds fair. Well, we're just going to do 10% across the board. It sounds fair, right? And even if you're self-employed like me, I'm paying a lot more than 10%, right? Because I'm paying my own, what normally the employer would pay, I'm paying, plus I'm paying my part. I'm paying, self-employed people pay double taxes. Okay. So yeah, it'd actually be less taxes for me. But it's not, it really doesn't address the problem, does it? That we have these people that make 10, 20, 50,000 times the hourly rate of these other people. It doesn't address the gap. Okay. So when you ask me about taxes, that's where my spirit guides went. They went to, yes, they want tax reform. Even in counties or even in states, you will see tax reform. But I think a lot of states that are red states are going to go towards a punitive tax reform that does not benefit, that doesn't close the gap. You know, I mean, you know what they're saying? Because I think this is how these people think, right? Like these people, typically, a lot of them are golfers. Well, don't you have a handicap? You know, don't you have a way to level the playing field? Isn't that what a handicap is? It levels the playing field. But in this case, they don't want to level the playing field, right? They want to have, oh, I'm paying 10%, you're paying 10%, it's all good. It's not. It's really not. So I do see tax change happening, and I don't feel like it's, well, now they're showing me the federal tax code. It is complicated. It's too complicated. It's, it is, it's not user friendly. You can maybe even say it's not working. I don't know. One thing about everything melting down, right? We've talked about this, is that we get to start over. That That's why we want to have a seat at the table. That's why we want to say, oh, okay, you want to get rid of the IRS. Okay, what are we going to do? And because people are not educated, because people are not critical thinkers, because people have subsisted on a diet of short videos with short attention span, because people have subsisted on reality TV, just checking out, not being involved in their democracy. This is not good. This is why I keep telling everybody we need to have a list. We need to be very forward thinking about what we want. And please talk to people. Let's start talking to people, right? Like when you're at the grocery store, when you're at wherever you're at. You know, it's crazy that they didn't impeach him. You know, let's just say it. Let's just say it. We've got to stop being afraid. The whole country's walking on eggshells, right? That was a whole book about narcissists and about how you walk on eggshells. We've been walking on eggshells with MAGAs because they're freaking crazy. Well, we're getting to a point now where we don't have any choice but to say it. We just have to. At least those of us who have privilege, right? Like I have a lot of privilege. I could tell the guy at the park that the hat you're wearing is from a rapist and a convicted felon. And now when I'm at the park and I see people I know and talk to every day walking with this guy, I'm like, you're guilty by association. Do you see how this all connects with the Epsteen and how I'm like, no, this celebrity is guilty by association. I don't want that. We're going to cancel people. If they thought they were canceled before, you haven't seen anything yet. We're going to cancel people in a very big way, right? So with taxes, I do think that the IRS, I really do think, that we could get very close to zero. Like the guides are saying, these entities are not operating anyway. Okay, so like the interior, the inside of them has been hollowed out. The people that had the knowledge have retired. The people that have had the knowledge have been forced out or have been laid off. They're not even, that's such a really good point they're making. They just showed me food safety. I've been talking about food safety for 3 years. And a woman at the grocery store the other day said, I can't believe this is all expired. We were in the dairy aisle. And I'm like, yeah, you really have to check all the dates. She's like, this whole thing is expired. I'm like, I know. We need to go tell a manager. FDA, hollowed out, doesn't exist anymore. Right? The IRS, all these places, all these government entities that run our government are literally from the inside out hollow. On the outside, looks like it's working. It's not working. So when it collapses, in whatever way that happens, they just showed me the VA. Whenever that happens, we have to be strong and stand up and say, no, we're not going to let a corporation. This is the game, right? We're not going to let a corporation just come in and run the VA. We're not going to let the Enron Anderson, whatever the Enron accountants, we're not going to let them run the IRS. We're not going to give it to QuickBooks. We're not going to let Intuit run the IRS. This is what they want. They want to privatize our entire government so that there's money to be made, because everything is $1 to them. This is why with the military, it used to be, think back to MASH, think back to those old TV shows. The military had actual soldiers who served the military. The military did all the things. The military was a whole force. They did all the things. But now you have contractors that cost us God knows how much money serving our soldiers. Then we take those contractors and we put them in places like Afghanistan. All because somebody needed to make $1. All because somebody needed to make $1. This is what this is all about, right? And the faster we start talking to people and we start getting together in groups and we start realizing how much power we have, we can make this change, right? We can do this. We are going to do this. Believe me, we're going to do this. One way or another, we're going to do this. Okay. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic medium. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. I really appreciate you. I hope it's helpful in some way, right? Like, if it's not helpful, let me know so I can go do something else. Because seriously though, really, it feels hard. I know it's hard for you. It's hard for me. It's hard for all of us, right? And take really, really good care. If you want to know more about me, you can find it at SusanLynnMedium.com. I have classes. I have an online community. I have all the things. Check me out at SusanLynnMedium.com. And I'll see you again really soon. Take good care. For entertainment purposes only,